Welcome. We have a number of guests here today, and I am honored to officially offer a word of welcome to you from the Honors College. My name is Douglas Henry. I'm Dean, which gives me opportunity to work with students across 4 different programs. Some of you are already part of one or another of these programs: Baylor Interdisciplinary Core, Great Text Program, Honors Program, or University Scholars Program. Some of you may be here today exploring opportunities you have yet to make up a mind about, and that is perfectly fine. We welcome that. We're very happy that you're here. And I'll try to answer both some practical questions in due course in our time here. I'll be joined by some colleagues like Dr. Whitlark over here and some of my student colleagues over here. We've got others in the room who may have useful information to offer along the way. But aside from practicalities, I also want to elevate your aspirations, to give you a sense of energy and enthusiasm, of anticipation toward the fall that is ahead of you, and beyond that, the next few years, both at Baylor generally and in the Honors College in particular. So a couple of things here, just very practically minded. By way of welcome, do you realize, you sitting here in this room, that you are part of what promises to be the largest class in Baylor's history? Not only the biggest, but by all current measures, the most academically qualified class we've ever had. So congratulations. It's no surprise that you're here in a session about honors study opportunities. We're grateful for both the size and the quality that you represent. That also means there is a stewardship, isn't there? A responsibility to exercise. If you are here as part of this entering class at Baylor, it's because you've been blessed in all sorts of ways. Blessed with minds that are capable of the sort of thinking and study, reflection, aspiration that you have thus far seen as part of your experience. Blessed with family members, many of whom are alongside you here today. Blessed with teachers and opportunities in abundance. And with all of those blessings, we're mindful often here in the Honors College of that biblical injunction, to whom much has been given, much more is required. And so that calls forth from us a sense of investment, doesn't it? Investment of those gifts for the sake of a return that's not merely to our own benefit, not for our sake only, but in return, in recompense and recognition of a debt owed to others. We are ultimately who we are, not in that sense, sometimes American culture and life especially conveyed by that adage about pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. We need each other, we benefit from each other, and it's through those contributions that you're here. So that's both a word of congratulations, welcome. Yay for us, yay for you. You're really smart, you're really bright, you're going to be part of this very exciting entering class at Baylor. But it's also a kind of call to action, call to arms. Don't come here with little expectations. Don't come here thinking of least common denominator sorts of things. Be bold in your aspirations. Expect a lot of yourselves and throw yourselves into the days ahead with a sense of appetite for meaningful and useful challenge. Maybe a little more focused here in raising your sights, raising your aspiration. An educator, national educator by the name of Sharon DeLose Parks, said about college students, and you can check this out, you can decide whether you think she's right or not in her description, but she says that college students reach for a place of belonging, integrity, and contribution that can anchor meaningful hope in themselves and in our shared future. Belonging, integrity, contribution. So sound like things that maybe you're interested in? Well, of course, you want to belong. Who doesn't? And you may be here today, and you may arrive here in August with some concern about just that thing. Will I fit in? Will I belong? Will I have friends? And the answer here is, well, of course, you will belong. But I would look behind Sharon DeLose Parks' sort of generic description of belonging and point you to a couple of deeper senses of the term. Same thing will apply to integrity and contribution. I've already given you a preview of where I'm going here. But the particular way in which I want to think about these three things is grounded in our vision of our Honors College community. And that vision calls for us to love truth, to kindle faith, and to cultivate virtue in friendship, study, and service to Christ and neighbor. And when you think about belonging, integrity, and contribution within that framework, within that context, all of a sudden they take on a new sense, right? You already belong before you step onto Baylor's campus. And we believe that as an artifact of our faith, as a matter of our deeply rooted convictions, because you're made in the image and likeness of God. You belong to the Lord. You belong to God before you belong to Baylor or to the Honors College or anything like that. You're sitting alongside people to whom you belong, right? Your family members who have invested themselves in bringing you to this point and who have dreamed from before you were born. Today's probably beyond this point. You are dear to these people. Remember it. Value it. Celebrate it. Maybe even say to mom or dad, thank you. I'm glad I belong to you. I'm sure they feel the same. You will, of course, belong to Baylor. You will belong to this community as you make friends, as you grow in your openness and responsiveness to those that you find in your company, both in class and outside of it. And within that context, within that community, your sense of fit, your sense of comfort, your sense of relief maybe, I fit, I belong, will only grow. Maybe not day one, maybe not in the first week will you have found your lifelong friends, but that will come in due course. Belonging. Integrity. A whole lot that we could say about this. I promise not to belabor the point. Integrity comes from, in English, a Latin root that has to do with wholeness or completeness. So an integer in math is a whole number, right? No decimal, no fraction. Integrity in our own lives refers to that sense of fully formed, complete, holistic being that too often we don't experience, we don't see in our wider culture. We live in a fractured and fissured world, don't we? In which people are divided from one another culturally, politically, socially, economically. We live in a world, in a culture as well, in which too often we're divided from ourselves. We don't have internal integrity, spiritual integrity, moral integrity, even as the world outside of us is divided in ways too. Well, in the Honors College at Baylor, we really care about integrity, about holistic education that is calibrated to help you have a whole life. One that is informed by the richness and the depth and the breadth of the traditions that inform universities and have since their inception in the early medieval period. We want that not just because it's an abstract ideal to care about, but because we care about your flourishing. We care about your capacity to realize your very highest potential as human beings. And we want that to be something you experience in the sense of gathering together the frayed and too often separated threads of life. We do that through all four of our Honors College programs in various ways. We'll come back to some of those things a little bit later. Belonging, integrity. What was that third thing that somebody remembers?
Virtue.
Virtue is part of it. Contribution. Yeah. The thing, I should have been more specific, the thing that Sharon DeLoes Parks said college students care about. Belonging, integrity, contribution. Well, that makes perfect sense too, doesn't it? You're coming to college because you see for yourself a future ahead of you in which you have contributions to make. Whatever those may happen to be in professionally in terms of work. Your contributions, of course, are always larger than what you do professionally, right? You may be thinking, I'm going to come to Baylor, be a pre-med student, I'm going to go to med school, I'm going to heal people. That's wonderful, but you, if that is your future, you will always be more than a doctor. You'll be a son or a daughter, perhaps a husband or a wife, next door neighbor, member of a church, a member of the body politic, as it were. And contribution encompasses all of your life, right? That's consistent with that vision of integrity, of holding together the various strands of your life. We want you, as future alumni of Baylor, hopefully within the Honors College, sort of educational preparation, we want you to make contributions in all of those areas. To see your life as oriented toward, successful, worthwhile work for gainful employment, preferably, but as also oriented around doing all of the sorts of things that amount to meaningful contribution within your home life, in your neighborhoods, and the larger communities of which you're a part. And who would say, no, I don't want to contribute anything. I just want to be a freeloader for the rest of, nobody would say those things. Maybe there are some people who think those things, but they're not going to be in this room, and they're not going to be at Baylor University. Right? So I think Sharon Delos Parks gets these things more or less right. There may be other things that college students think about and want, but belonging, integrity, and contribution probably capture a lot of what you're thinking about this summer, or will be thinking about between now and August when you move, and will continue to meditate on, or at least to act in light of, over the next 4 years. And it's our privilege, it's our joy, it's our opportunity to help you think about those three things, to deepen your sense of ownership over them in the particularities of your life and in the distinctive qualities of your own vocation, and to help you explore what next steps might look like as you move beyond your education here toward what lies beyond. And it is for us exhilarating, even if possibly for you it's accompanied now by a little bit of anxiety. Perfectly natural, and we're here to help with that too along the way. Well, so, welcomed you, told you a little bit about how proud you should be of yourselves. I've tried to elevate your aspirations a little bit. I'm going to stop talking here for a few minutes and welcome my three colleagues, each of whom is a student who has a place within the Honors College, to come join me here. And we're going to begin with a few general, easy questions I'll pose for them to help you think about moving from where you are today to where you will be here in a couple of short months and beyond. And then we're going to open the floor up, let you ask questions, and as we move further into our conversation, I think we'll be able to answer particular questions about any of our 4 academic programs you might have interest in. So, short bios up on the screen, you can see them here. And it looks like Chloe has the mic in hand. So Chloe, think back, if you will, to when you were like these, our colleagues, sitting in a chair, maybe like that, somewhere on campus. What anxieties, what hopes did you entertain when you were at that point in life that might be useful for them to hear you articulate in connection with their own experiences?
All right, so this was the room I was in for my orientation, so it's very fun to get to see you guys here in that same place I was 2 years ago. But I'd say one of the anxieties I had coming in was just what the nature of the Honors College would be like and what academia would be like, because I went to a small public high school, and my counselors and my teachers always told me the professors are there just to grade your papers and to teach you. They don't care about your well-being. There's a clear divide between you being a student and them being a professor. And I was really nervous because I'm someone who's very much dependent on like interpersonal relationships and being able to just like sit down and talk with the teacher or professor about like the coursework, go into in-depth discussions about it. So that kind of frightened me. And then coming into the Honors College, I thought it was going to be super intense. The the professors would be like so much more direct and hard on us, but I was very happily surprised coming into Honors College. It's not like that at all. The professors here are very much here to help you grow they care so much for your well-being. They care for you as a scholar, as one of God's favorite things on the planet, his favorite things on the planet, and just as a physical human being. I've been able to go to so many professors about things, not just like that are happening in class, but in my personal life, and talk to them and get their advice on things. And that's been such a comforting thing to have, especially in higher education where that's not seen. And I'm fairly sure it's something that's very specific to the Baylor Honors College as well. All of the professors I've had here have been like that and have been so encouraging and supportive of me as an individual and all of my classmates and fellow members of the Honors College. It's just been very fulfilling and comforting to have those professors there. But a hope that I had, I guess, was just coming in and finding like-minded people. I was also like the only Christian I knew in high school, and I felt very isolated. And just coming into the community of the Honors College, there's no competition between students. It's such a supportive community, one that's so full of love and energy and just passion to see each other grow. And that was something, like, of course I was hopeful for, but didn't expect it to be at the level it is. And yes, I work for the Honors College, but I promise I'm not paid to say this. This is like definitely like personal experience. I have loved every second of the community, of the time I've spent in this community and in the academic programs.
So I'm a professor. It's hard for me not to offer running commentary. Chloe and her colleagues here are used to it. A couple things occurred to me about Chloe's observations. One is you should know that your professors are ordinary people. You know, we go to the grocery store and stand in line to get milk just like everybody else. Some of my favorite teaching experiences as a professor have come in a study abroad program that I led for about 10 years in Turkey and Greece around the dinner table. And, you know, in summertime that meant chacos and shorts like everybody else. Even as we were thinking about really deep, profound issues, Sophocles' Antigone, or Dante's Inferno, or all these sorts of things. So I know that your faculty, this is true university-wide, and I can say in particular, in an emphatic way within the Honors College, your faculty want to know you, want to invite from you your questions, want to challenge you to be your best, even as we're helping you when you might not be your best. These things are natural for us. It's our role. It's what we rally around. There's more than I could say, but I'll stop, Chloe. We'll let Noelle have a crack too.
Sure. Yeah, excuse me. I would just kind of say, echo some of those things that Chloe was saying, but also just to speak a little bit to the fear of, you know, as Tina and Marie has been saying, belonging and friendships, and who will I meet and who will I become close with. I mean, in my experience, I kind of grew up in a small town, and most of my friends were people that I'd literally known since I was born, so coming to a place where you don't know anyone can be very intimidating, and I'm sure that many of you have those fears as well. But I would just say that, at least in my experience, most of my closest friends have been in the Honors College, but I've also had friends outside of the Honors College. So I think the benefit of a smaller community like the Honors College is because, you know, entering classes are in the 3,000s, but entering classes in the Honors College are in the 300s, I believe so. So, you know, that already kind of, maybe I'm under exaggerating that a little bit, but it's, again, much smaller. So you're already kind of having a smaller community to go to in those moments of who am I going to be close with, you know, who am I going to meet, and those freshman classes that you take, the FYSs, that are honors courses, are intentionally designed to be small. So, you know, most of the classes I took as a freshman were about 15 students or less, which is, you have to understand that that is an incredibly unique experience among students at Baylor. Freshman students, many freshman students are in quite large seminars for most of their first semester, and that was not my experience, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, because as a result of that, I was able to become close with the students in my classes and with the professors, and professors, like Chloe was saying, were so intentional and really did want to, invite us into their homes for tea, invite us into their homes for dinner, and I think that is such a valuable experience, just to have space with mentors outside of just the classroom to talk about other things in your life. And that is really what I have found that professors in the Honors College have been willing to give, is just over an abundance their amount of time and their personal advice that they're willing to give to you. And I don't think that is unique to me or unique to Chloe, that is pretty much what you will find from any professor in the Honors College. And that's not even if, assuming you're going out and searching for it. Many of them will come to you and offer that. But I would just also encourage you to search it out and to be willing to go up to your professors and talk to them and, ask for help with those assignments, because many of them will want to give that to you. And so I would just say, it can be intimidating, and, especially being a high-achieving student, I kind of get these weird moments where I'm like, I know I'm smart, but then I have other moments where I'm like, I'm totally gonna fail. And that may sound silly, but I think you probably will understand what I mean, that you have high expectations for yourself, so then it can be easy to feel downtrodden when you're not quite hitting those expectations. But I will let you know that, the community around you will help you rise to meeting your own expectations and to meeting the expectations of your professors, and that is a beautiful and exciting experience.
It's great, Noelle. There was a book some years ago, you may have heard the title, even if you haven't read it. I think the title is wrong. It was Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten or something like that. I'm a philosopher. I learned a lot in kindergarten, no doubt, but I would say something like Everything I Need to Know I Learned from Aristotle, and that's not quite right either, because it leaves scripture out. But Aristotle, I turn to again and again. A couple things here between what Chloe and Noelle said. Truth is one of those remarkable things that is not diminished in its availability to others when you possess it. So if Chloe learns something, she knows it, she's in possession of it, that remains equally open to anyone else's knowledge as well. It's one of the glorious sorts of things about truth. Same thing about light. I mean, you open your eyes, you see the light in the room. I can see just as much light when your eyes are open as when your eyes are closed. It's one of these glorious sorts of features of human existence. Truth is like that. Human companionship, human friendship is not quite like that. And that's why smaller classes, that's why having a community within the larger community matters. Our time is something that is diminished when we give it to one task rather than another, or when we give it to one person rather than another. And so our focus upon small class sizes and a smaller honors college community is part and parcel to our desire to ensure that everyone has the kind of support, the kind of nurturing, the kind of encouragement that enables each and all to achieve their best. That matters, and we care about it. Matt, how about you?
Well, Chloe and Noelle spoke of friends, and they're probably better at making them than me. So I will speak more of grades and coursework and classwork in the Honors College. And because I probably was somewhat worried about the grade component of it coming into a program like University Scholars and the Honors Program. But my main advice would be, I suppose, that if you performed well in high school and you care about classes, but more importantly, actually care about learning, you will have the same experience, probably a better experience with your college classes, because the material will be more meaningful to you because you're pursuing this material specifically as part of your major, and you'll find like you're discovering these big new truths like Dr. Henry's talking about, and that'll make you want to seek out learning and to really study meaningful things. And if that's your attitude going into your classes, especially in the honors college, the good grades somehow just naturally come with it. It is sometimes necessary to think about GPA and prioritize studying for this class over that class, just because we have limited time. But I would just say not to worry about hard coursework, because the honors college isn't that much harder than the rest of Baylor. It's just you're studying your classes with slightly more intentionality, focusing more on the actual learning of the things rather than just the grades and the degree that we hopefully get at the end of all this. But
Matt, that's great. So how many years have you been here at Baylor?
I guess 3 now.
I probably need to have you sign a release form to answer the question I'm about to ask. But are you comfortable sharing, what is the worst grade you've gotten in 3 years at Baylor?
Like test or class, like final class?
Yeah, like class grade.
My worst is an A-.
Oh my God, unbelievable. How shameful. So I'm carried.
But I'm not the worst. I've had 3 of them and Noel has just had 1. So, yeah.
So I went through 3 years of college with a 4.0 GPA. And in my senior year, in the spring semester of my senior year, I blew my 4.0 in a PE course. And yeah, I know, it is laughable. It's pathetic. It was golf. I thought it was going to be fun. We'd be out on the golf course, but no, the teacher assigned Tom Watson's Rules of Golf, and it was a hard class. I mean, there are a lot of rules, and it's complicated. I didn't give the class what I should have, and so my perfect record was forever scarred by golf. Matt is exactly right. It is not our point in an honors education to give our students GPA killer classes. Matt and Noel and Chloe alike all have good academic records. And it is because they're bright, because they're disciplined, it's because they do their assignments, but it's also because we're not setting out as professors to create circumstances in which failure is likely. We want our students to succeed. We want you to succeed. And so we will support you along the way here. It is also the case, I think what Matt said, that we want the classes to be challenging, enriching in the good sort of way, not in the bad sort of way. And this again is something that you will find characteristic across BIC, Great Text, Honors Program, and University Scholars alike. Let me add one more thing. It is okay, barely, Matt, to have an A-. I'm teasing.
It's totally okay.
It's okay to get a B in golf. It's actually okay. It's not what we want for you, but it is okay for you to experience real challenge. I mean, the hard sort of challenge. It's okay for you to fail at something. This will happen sooner or later in your life. We realize it. Your parents realize it. You may realize it as well, because there will be things that life throws at you that are beyond your ability to manage by yourself. So, to cultivate resilience, to learn how to rely on other people to help you get through and to pick yourself back up and move on, that is a very useful thing to which we're committed as well. So let me, keeping an eye here on time, let me give you opportunity to raise questions, and if you'll at least ask them loud enough for me to hear, then I'll repeat them for the benefit of the camera feed, which will go to others, just so you know, who aren't able to join us in person future sessions. Questions, and you may have very practical questions about Honors College programs in particular. Yeah.
If we're not currently in the Honors College or one of the 4 things, how do I apply?
Excellent question. How many of you are still looking at the possibility of being in the Honors College? So a handful, and the rest of you are in one or another of the programs and committed. So those of you who are already in one or another of the programs, how many in BIC, Baylor Interdisciplinary Core? So how many in Honors Program? Another handful. University scholars. I see one. Very good. And great text is the other. Any great text majors or minors? Now's your opportunity. So if you are exploring the prospect of being in the Honors College and you are interested in great texts, there is room. Great text, former dean of the Honors College used to say, has no standards. You don't even have to apply. You just sign up for it. You just declare it as a major. So many opportunities there. If you are interested in honors program or university scholars, your entry point would be in the spring semester, as for the fall, those programs are full. If you are interested in beginning this fall in August in the Baylor Interdisciplinary Core, there remain spaces available for that. And we have historically had a SNAP app. I don't know, is that active this, what are we doing for Big Aaron? Okay, so if you are interested in Baylor Interdisciplinary Core, then you can apply through your Go Baylor account and expect an expeditious review and response. Dr. Whitlark is one of our faculty members in the Baylor Interdisciplinary Core and the faculty assistant director, so he has lots of information about it. Do those of you who are here and exploring know the difference between these programs? So the Baylor Interdisciplinary Core is a brilliantly designed alternative core curriculum that takes the place of the usual general education requirements that every student in every degree at Baylor is required to complete. It does so by providing a cohort of honor students, usually about 200 in an entering class, an opportunity to take a coordinated, systematic, comprehensive, interdisciplinary set of courses together, which rather than being English, history, political science, and so forth, draw those disciplines together in fruitful conversation with each other. Students who pursue the curriculum have a shared set of reading across all the courses. The faculty teaching all of the courses know what has been taught in the other courses, so that the shared vocabulary, the shared understanding rise to a remarkably high pitch. It is the sort of general education or the sort of core curriculum that I think if universities the world around were thinking in a student-oriented and educationally sound sort of way, they would design. Is that fair, Dr. Whitlark? That's a bold claim.
Perfect. We try to live up to it.
we do try to live up to it. The honors program works with any, and I should say BIC works with any degree or major that students might pursue at Baylor. So you can major in whatever you want, and the BIC would simply substitute for your general education. The honors program also works with any major you might pursue at Baylor. So you can be a computer science major, or you can be an art history major, or you can be a pre-med major, whatever that is, biology or chemistry or neuroscience, or history, or great text. You can major in all those things and be pre-med. Honors program provides access to honors sections of classes that would be required for your degree and major, whether they're general education courses or major courses. And the honors program, by doing so, puts you in the company of other excellent students who are disciplined, who are thoughtful, who are well prepared. It enables the faculty in teaching those honors sections to calibrate their teaching, the instruction that's offered in the class, to a group of students who are so diligent as to make the experience more rewarding for all. Honors program students also, like in some but not all honors programs in universities around the country, work toward a baccalaureate thesis that's completed ordinarily April, mid-April, late April in the senior year, but for these superlatively outstanding colleagues, I'm sure their thesis will be done by February at the latest. But that accomplishment is the culmination of the honors program, and it represents a tangible demonstration of your capacity for mature, independent, responsible management of a project, if you want to put it in sort of I don't know, corporate ease here. It is an endeavor in undergraduate research. And some of you may be motivated by research as a principled sort of approach to life. Let me just say about research, we too often empty it of its interest, of its enthusiasm. And I often think about research, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but in terms of the parable of the lost coin in Scripture, the woman who loses that coin and she looks everywhere for it. Where can I find it? If she'd had glasses, she would have put them on. Where is it? And she searches, she researches for that lost coin because it is of value. It is precious to her. She wants to find it, recover it for herself. And that's what research for us ought to be academically. We see something out there of value. We want to look for it and to look again because it is so valuable and interesting and inspiring. And so we keep looking until we find it. And then we are so glad that we found it, we want others to know. I found it. Look, this is really cool, right? This coin that I found, this thing of great value. So that's honors program. Then the other two things, University Scholars is a create your own degree option for really bright students. Major established 1973, in which currently there are 5 prescribed classes, 15 hours out of the 124-hour Bachelor of Arts degree, and the rest of it is individually tailored to your interests. And so University Scholars usually have 1 or more concentrations. Noelle, what are your concentrations?
Art history, political science, and great text / English. So.
Okay, so probably you didn't see that coming, but oh, it's right up there, yeah. So you did see it coming. You knew the answer to the question I asked before I did. So University Scholars can tailor their study to often wide-ranging interests and put them together in fascinating conversation with each other. University Scholars are automatically in the honors program, so they fulfill the thesis requirement. And the great text major, that one pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? It's great works. From Homer to Cormac McCarthy is the way I put it, all the way through the 20th century. The best which has been thought and said in the world. And this isn't for the great text faculty an exercise in dilettantism or in preparation for success on Jeopardy or anything like that. It's an exercise in the recovery of wisdom for its own sake and because it's practically useful in our here and now. One of the lines I'm fond of, line from 20th century classic scholar Edith Hamilton, goes like this, and she's thinking about these sorts of texts. She says, when the world is storm-driven and the bad that happens and the worst that threatens are so great as to blot out everything else from view, then we need all the strong fortresses of the Spirit which men have built through the ages. And then she goes on to say the eternal perspectives are being blotted out and our judgment of immediate issues will go awry unless we recover them. I think that is a moving representation of why one ought to read Plato or Augustine or Thomas Aquinas or Shakespeare or Dante or Copernicus or Flannery O'Connor or W.B. Du Bois or plenty of others. And that commitment to reading, recovering, and appropriating the wisdom of the ages is characteristic of all 4 of our honors college programs. So you can count on some endeavor along those lines, whichever of these 4 programs you're in, but you can complete a whole major in such recovery of wisdom in great text if you choose. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how AP credits might typically transfer for BIC?
I do not. And the trick there is that adverb, typically, the question is, do I know how AP credits typically transfer for BIC? That is an excellent question, and it's one for which I always recommend conversation with one of our advisors in BIC, because they can look and tell you what a particular AP course will do in relation to the degree and major that you're pursuing. So the answer will vary depending on those things. And Dr. Whitlark, please see him afterwards. He may not know the exact, he knows a lot more than I do. So he may know the answer, but if not, he can put you in touch with somebody who could give you a very helpful answer. Other questions? How are we on time? Just a couple of minutes left. Yeah?
What disciplines do the great texts cover? Like, is it just English and philosophy, or does it go farther than that? What kind of things does it cover?
You name it, they cover it. Yeah, so classical literature, all the way, I mean, so you can think of it in terms of world literature, right? So if you're using English in that sense, Greek and Latin literature in translation, English, Italian, French literature, right, in translation. So it's all the great works of literature across the tradition, but not just that. Philosophy, theology, political theory, political science, history, all of the science. One colleague whose expertise is in the history and philosophy of science, and so he's fascinated in everything from Galen to Francis Watson and everything in between, Galileo and Newton and all the great scientists who wrote beautifully and important works, but too often contemporary scientists don't read these, right? So, but Dr. Martin does. So it's all disciplines that could be studied there. And they have a pre-med concentration or track within that, and a pre-law, and one other, the name of which I never can remember. So let me end. We've got this really interesting project that we've just started, and because it's a lot of fun and it's inspiring, and I want to spread word far and wide. Are you shaking your head, man? Is this...
No, he just knew what you were talking about.
I knew that you were going to plug 100 Days of Dawn.
Yeah. So we care, I said, that beautiful line of Edith Hamilton's about recovering the wisdom of the past for the sake of our present lives. And so as one instance of the kind of intellectual leadership that I hope the Honors College here at Baylor can offer the world around, and certainly within our own university community, we've launched on the 700th anniversary of the death of Dante Alighieri project. It'll kick off this fall. And I thought it'd be fun for us to finish with this video. So, Chloe, it's a minute and a half.
Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself in a dark wilderness, for I had wandered from the straight and true. This is a story of being lost and being found, of friendship and of love. This is a story of one man's journey down through the depths of hell and up to the stars of heaven. This is a story of discovery and of change. This is the Divine Comedy, which has taught generations of people a deeper way to love God. This September, we will follow Dante on his epic journey. Join us over the course of 100 days as we discover why this timeless poem continues to change lives. You will learn from experienced readers as they share short, engaging videos that will help you enjoy the richness of the text. Invite your church, school, book club, or friends, and help us create the world's largest Dante reading group. From scandalous politics to tragic love stories, the Divine Comedy has something for everyone. Let's read together.
So in the Honors College, we're not going to take you down to the depths of hell, and we won't get you to the beatific vision, but we hope to acquaint you over the course of your 4 years with both the ways in which we in our frailty and those around us in our world in their frailties can fall short of the glory intended of them, and to inspire you by the grace of God and through your responsiveness to it, to aspire to a greatness and a glory intended for you, whether you want to be an art historian or an engineer, a surgeon, or a school teacher, or any of the other things that your education here at Baylor will help you to accomplish. And we want that for the wider world. So moms and dads, if you're interested in joining the world's largest Dante reading group, it's going to kick off in September. And if you haven't read this work, which my own mother confessed to me a couple weeks ago she had not read, now is your chance to recover for yourself some of that wisdom of the ages that your sons and daughters will have occasion to encounter here at Baylor. We're glad you're here. We are committed to you having a place of belonging and a life and a mind and a heart and soul of integrity and a future noted by contribution. And for the record, you don't have to wait until August to start working on all of those things. Your belonging, and your integrity, and your contribution begin today. So think about those things. Know that we'll be here ready for you in August, and if we can be of help at any point in between, we'll stand at the ready.